You're here because you want to understand something deeply, maybe gain real knowledge without getting lost in just a sea of information.
Right.
That's exactly what we're diving into today. We're
Yeah.
focusing on luxury, modern, minimalist living room design, basically. How to create a space that feels both, opulent and incredibly serene.
Mm.
Our mission today is really to pull out the essential principles that will make this style work.
And what's fascinating right from the start, I think, is understanding that this isn't about just stripping everything away like you might think with minimalism.
Okay.
It's really about a very deliberate selection, a thoughtful curation of what you actually bring into your living space.
Okay, so where do we even begin to unpack this idea of thoughtful curation? It feels like the color palette would be a pretty fundamental starting point, right?
Absolutely. Color, well, it sets the stage. And in luxury minimalism, it's really about creating a sense of calm and spaciousness.
Mm,
That's why you often see those soft neutrals, comforting earthy undertones forming the base.
mm.
Then you introduce sophisticated hues to add depth and visual interest without disrupting that feeling of tranquility. Think about how a warm taupe on the walls can feel both inviting and expansive, unlike maybe a stark, cold white.
Can you give us some more concrete examples of these sophisticated hues and how they might be used?
Sure, imagine walls painted in a, say, gentle ivory. That provides a light and airy backdrop.
Okay.
Then you might introduce furniture in a warm caramel or maybe a muted sage green. This creates a subtle contrast
Yeah.
that's easy on the eye but still feels grounded.
Right.
Or, if you prefer a touch more drama, picture a statement armchair upholstered in a delicate shade of sapphire or emerald, maybe paired with a light travertine coffee table.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, it's about using contrasting tones to create depth and highlight individual pieces, but always, within that overall serene framework.
So the walls aren't just a blank canvas, are there? It sounds like texture plays a role here too, beyond just the color itself.
Precisely. Texture is absolutely key to elevating a minimalist space and adding that layer of subtle visual interest. We're moving beyond just standard smooth paint.
Right.
Consider the soft, tactile quality of textured plaster, or maybe the seamless look of micro-cement. Even incorporating subtle wood paneling can add dimension and warmth without being visually overwhelming. Another way to introduce subtle texture.
You mentioned a fluted beige wall earlier when we chatted. That sounds like a really great example of adding texture subtly.
It is, yeah. It's a fantastic way to introduce a tactile element that catches the light beautifully without being, visually noisy. And then think about how large-scale artwork can contribute to this. An oversized abstract piece with, say, sculptural strokes and those same muted tones we discussed that can become a real focal point, drawing the eye and adding depth. Or, for something timeless, maybe a monochromatic artwork with layered textures that subtly change as the light shifts throughout the day. That can add incredible depth. What's fascinating here is how texture, even in a minimalist setting, adds so much depth and interest, it almost invites you to touch and explore.
All this talk of color and texture really makes you think about how light interacts with these elements. Natural light feels like it would be absolutely crucial here.
Oh, it is defining. Natural light, especially coming through large, maybe wooden-framed, floor-to-ceiling windows, is key. It's about creating that seamless connection between your interior space and the natural world outside, fostering a sense of openness.
And it's not just about flooding the room with light, is it? It's more about the quality of that light and how it plays with everything else.
Exactly. Think about how soft morning light might highlight the subtle variations in a textured plaster wall.
Yeah.
Or how a strong afternoon sunbeam could bounce off a polished stone surface versus how it softens as it filters through, say, a buccal fabric or sheer linen drapes. The way light interacts with these different textures can completely transform the mood of the room throughout the day. And for practical purposes, layering your window treatments, maybe with sheer linen for daytime, to diffuse light and then heavier woven drapes for privacy in the evening, offers both beauty and function.
Okay, so we've built this kind of foundation with color, textured walls, maximizing natural light. Now, what about the actual pieces we bring into the space, the furniture itself?
Here's where it gets really interesting. In luxury minimalism, each piece of furniture needs to be both visually striking, almost sculptural, you could say, and incredibly inviting.
Okay.
It's about the form. Think of sofas with gentle curves that feel like an embrace, armchairs with organic flowing shapes, and coffee tables that are almost like art pieces in their own right.
So we're looking beyond just functional items to pieces that have a real visual significance. What kind of materials really speak to this aesthetic?
Materials are paramount, absolutely. Plush velvet or Buccal upholstery and those warm ivories or olive greens we talked about, they exude a sense of sophisticated comfort, especially when paired with a coffee table made of natural materials like travertine or maybe fluted wood.
Right.
Picture a sculptural armchair upholstered in a soft woven fabric, sitting next to a sleek, linear media console made from light oak or walnut. It's that deliberate balance of soft and structured organic and fluid textures that creates an inviting space without feeling cluttered.
There's often this perception, though, of minimalism being cold or, sterile.
Yeah.
How do we specifically inject that feeling of warmth and comfort into this luxurious minimalist space?
That's a really common misconception, yeah. True luxury minimalism is anything but cold. Warmth comes through thoughtful layering, especially textiles. Think about high-quality rugs, hand-woven wool or silk blends feel incredible underfoot and add a layer of softness.
Okay.
You typically start with a large area rug in a neutral tone, like sand, greige, or maybe a muted clay.
Yeah.
That creates a grounded foundation for the space.
And the layering comes in by adding another rug on top of that.
Precisely. Adding a smaller accent rug on top, perhaps with a subtle pattern or a variation in tone or texture, introduces depth and visual interest without disrupting that restrained aesthetic. It adds that crucial tactile layer and visual warmth.
Okay. Moving on to lighting. It sounds like we're intentionally moving away from just relying on a single harsh overhead light source.
Absolutely. We're aiming for layers of light to create ambiance and highlight different aspects of the room. Recessed LEDs can provide a soft, diffused, ambient glow along the ceiling, creating a general sense of illumination without being harsh. Then you introduce sculptural pendant lights as statement pieces that mention maybe a floating chandelier with frosted glass globes, or an asymmetrical metal pendant hanging above the coffee table. It acts as both a light source and a piece of functional art. And don't forget arched floor lamps, maybe in brushed gold or matte black. They provide task lighting exactly where you need it, for reading or other activities, while also contributing to the overall design. What's fascinating here is how carefully considered lighting can dramatically alter the mood and highlight specific architectural features or furniture pieces.
Now let's bring some life into the space literally. What role does greenery play in a luxury minimalist living room?
It's definitely more than just a decorative element. It brings a vital sense of life and freshness into the room. For a luxury minimalist space, think sculptural plants with strong silhouettes, maybe a fiddle-leaf fig with its upright form.
You okay?
The elegant, slender shape of an olive tree, or the striking architectural leaves of a bird of paradise, these add height and organic movement without feeling visually chaotic.
Right.
And for those seeking lower maintenance options, well, dried pampas grass or preserved eucalyptus arranged in a beautiful ceramic vase can add texture and a natural touch without requiring constant watering.
Yeah.
It's about bringing in organic forms in a deliberate and impactful way.
So we're being very selective with the plants, just as we are with, well, every other element in the room. What about those smaller decorative items? How do we approach choosing and displaying decor?
The philosophy here is all about curation, intentionally selecting a few high-impact pieces rather than filling every surface with, knickknacks.
Yeah.
A single statement vase in a handcrafted ceramic finish, maybe a beautifully sculpted stone bowl, or a thoughtfully arranged stack of designer books on the coffee table can instantly elevate the space and add a touch of personality without creating clutter.
And what about the walls? We talked about large artwork, but are there other forms of wall decor that fit this style?
The same principle of restraint and impact applies. Opt for one impactful piece of large-scale artwork or maybe a carefully considered gallery of framed monochrome photographs. The key is that each item should feel like it belongs, enhancing the space rather than just taking up visual real estate.
We've touched on materials in the context of furniture and flooring, but it sounds like natural materials are a really fundamental aspect of this whole aesthetic.
They are indeed essential. Wood, stone, glass, and metal work together to create that refined and grounded feeling that defines luxury minimalism. Think about the inherent beauty of a travertine or marble coffee table, grounding the space with its natural veining and texture. Fluted wood on consoles or shelving units adds warmth and a tactile element. And then metal accents, whether in bronze, brushed gold, or matte black, provide that perfect touch of contrast and sophistication. These materials bring an authenticity and richness that synthetic materials often lack.
Now, you mentioned earlier the idea of not pushing all the furniture against the walls. How does the actual arrangement of furniture contribute to this feeling of luxury and minimalism?
The furniture arrangement is crucial for creating that effortless flow and sense of open space. Floating seating arrangements where furniture isn't pressed against the walls are key for fostering natural conversation areas.
Yeah.
A curved sectional with a rounded coffee table naturally invites people to gather and interact. Or consider a pair of lounge chairs angled towards each other with a sculptural side table in between, creating an intimate reading or conversation nook.
Right.
It's about designing a space that's not just visually appealing, but also highly functional and promotes a sense of balance and harmony. Leaving negative space around furniture is just as important as the pieces themselves, allowing each item to breathe and be fully appreciated.
And those little extras, the accessories, it sounds like they need to be just as carefully considered as the larger pieces.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Accessories should be sparse, but highly effective. Think decorative trays made from beautiful materials like marble or handcrafted wood. They can organize smaller items beautifully without looking cluttered.
Yeah.
High-quality textiles like a luxurious linen or cashmere throw draped casually over the sofa, add a layer of comfort and subtle luxury. And then those subtle metallic accents, perhaps in the base of a lamp or the hardware on a piece of furniture, introduce a touch of refinement without being overpowering.
So ultimately, this isn't just about how the room looks in a photograph, is it? It's deeply connected to how it feels to be in the space and how you, well, live in it.
Precisely. A luxury, modern, minimalist living room aims to enhance your lifestyle. It's about surrounding yourself with pieces that bring you joy and a sense of calm, materials that feel wonderful to touch, and a space that encourages both relaxation and inspiration. It's about that intentional curation leading to a home that feels both luxurious and truly livable, supporting your well-being.
Okay, so to really nail this, it sounds like we need to achieve this seamless balance between feeling open and airy but also warm and inviting. How do we walk that line effectively?
That's the ultimate goal, isn't it? It's about that careful integration of natural materials like stone, wood, and woven fabrics. Imagine that travertine coffee table we discussed earlier, paired with a plush, curved linen sofa, maybe an oak-fluted console, and sleek bronze lighting. It's that interplay of smooth and polished surfaces with raw and organic textures that create such a compelling and balanced aesthetic.
You mentioned earlier that the color palettes in this style can go beyond just stark white. Let's explore some of those richer options that still maintain that sense of luxury.
Right. What's fascinating here is how luxury can be conveyed through deeper, earthier hues that still feel sophisticated. Think deep espresso, warm charcoal, or even a muted sapphire. Instead of relying on harsh black for contrast, these richer tones add depth and visual interest without feeling jarring. Imagine soft clay walls providing a warm backdrop for, say, a deep emerald velvet armchair and a walnut sculptural coffee table. It's a more nuanced and inviting approach to minimalism that moves away from that purely clinical feel.
And textiles sound like a really key way to enhance that feeling of warmth and tactile luxury within these richer color palettes.
They absolutely are. Layering different textures adds so much to the sensory experience of the room. Think about the feeling of a wool rug underfoot, the soft embrace of a buccal chair, and then the delicate touch of silk, linen, or cotton pillows, perhaps finished with a hand-woven cashmere throw. Each textile is chosen purposefully, contributing to that overall feeling of comfort and understated quality.
We talked about layering light earlier, but can we elaborate a bit on how that combination of light sources really contributes to both warmth and depth in the space?
Layered lighting is essential for creating both a sense of warmth and visual depth. By combining different sources, perhaps a sculptural pendant in frosted glass or brass as a focal point, with recessed lighting providing that soft ambient glow. And then strategically placed table and floor lamps with fabric or subtly textured shades, you gain control over the mood and can highlight different areas and textures within the room. This avoids the flat, uninviting feeling that a single harsh overhead light can create, allowing for a much more nuanced and welcoming atmosphere.
And those floor-to-ceiling windows we discussed, they're clearly important for bringing in light, but do they serve other purposes in this design style?
Absolutely. They're about that vital connection between your interior space and the outdoors, blurring the lines and making the room feel more expansive. Using warm-toned wooden frames around these large windows adds a touch of natural warmth to all that glass.
Okay.
And for maintaining privacy without losing all that beautiful natural light, sheer linen drapes in warm beige or soft taupe are a fantastic choice. They filter the sunlight beautifully, creating a soft, diffused glow, while also adding an elegant textural element.
When it comes to decor, it's about making a statement without creating visual clutter. How do we find that balance when selecting and placing decorative items?
Focus on those impactful statement pieces. Think a single, oversized ceramic vase with a few carefully chosen stems or dried eucalyptus as a striking centerpiece on a console table. Or a thoughtfully curated stack of beautiful art books on the coffee table. Even a large-scale textured canvas in neutral tones, or a series of framed monochromatic photographs in slim, simple frames can act as powerful focal points without overwhelming the minimalist aesthetic. It's about quality over quantity, and each piece should feel intentional.
And bringing nature into the space. We've talked about plants, but are there other ways to integrate that biophilic element beyond just greenery?
Absolutely. While larger sculptural plants like a fiddly fig or an olive tree are wonderful, consider also incorporating other natural materials and forms. Think about a coffee table crafted from raw-edged wood, the texture of a hand-woven jute rug, or the organic shape of a stone bowl. Even incorporating artwork that depicts natural landscapes or uses natural pigments can further strengthen that connection to the outdoors. And for lower maintenance options, preserved moss arrangements or dried pampas grass in a beautiful stone vase can add that organic touch with minimal upkeep.
Now, let's talk more specifically about how we actually arrange the furniture to create that harmonious and functional feel in a luxury minimalist living room.
Right. Aim for fluid, conversational layouts that encourage interaction and a sense of openness. Instead of pushing all the furniture against the walls, consider floating a curved sectional in the center of the room to define the seating area.
Okay.
Perhaps paired with asymmetrical armchairs and a circular coffee table to soften the overall lines. It's crucial to leave enough negative space around each piece of furniture so that it can breathe and be fully appreciated.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And don't be afraid to play with contrasting materials for side tables. A sleek marble top next to a soft buccal armchair can add subtle visual interest and functionality.
And what about those practical considerations, like where to put things? How do we address storage needs while still maintaining that clean, minimalist look?
Functional and aesthetically pleasing storage is key to maintaining a minimalist space. Look for custom-built cabinetry that seamlessly integrates into the wall, providing hidden storage without disrupting the clean lines. Sleek fluted sideboards in warm wood tones like light oak or walnut can offer both storage and a visual focal point. And open shelving, when curated thoughtfully with a few well-chosen items, can become a display area without feeling cluttered. The goal is to have everything you need within easy reach, but discreetly stored away when not in use.
It really does seem to keep coming back to this central idea of balance, doesn't it?
It truly does. It's about finding that equilibrium between light and shadow, soft and structured elements, color and neutrality. The ultimate aim is to create a space that fosters relaxation, sparks creativity, and enhances your overall well-being through its carefully considered design.
And it sounds like the driving force behind all of these choices is intentionality. Every single decision is made with a specific purpose.
Exactly. Luxury minimalism is about making deliberate choices and investing in quality pieces that you truly love and that serve a purpose in your life. It's a mindful approach to creating a space that reflects your values and supports a sense of calm and order.
We've talked a lot about the elements within the room, but what about the architecture itself? How do things like open floor plans and high ceilings influence this design style?
Architectural elements play a very significant role, definitely. Open floor plans naturally enhance that sense of spaciousness and flow that's so central to minimalist design.
Right.
High ceilings, whether featuring recessed lighting for a clean look or maybe elegant wooden beams to add warmth and character, contribute to a feeling of airiness and grandeur. And those floor-to-ceiling doors and windows we discussed earlier further blur the boundaries between the interior and the surrounding natural environment, creating a stronger connection, especially in single-story homes.
And when we're selecting materials for the various elements in the room, it sounds like we should be aiming for a certain amount of contrast, even within that overall minimalist framework.
Absolutely. Think about the visual and tactile interest you get from intentionally pairing contrasting materials. For example, a polished concrete floor can provide a sleek, modern foundation for an earthy terracotta rug, adding warmth and texture underfoot.
Okay.
Or consider how neutral furniture in shades of sand, sage, or deep ocean blue can stand out against the subtly textured wall. It's about that deliberate juxtaposition, the smooth feel of marble against the texture of a hand-woven wool throw, or the interplay between sleek glass lighting and sculptural wood furniture. These contrasts add depth and prevent the space from feeling one-dimensional.
You mentioned statement furniture earlier. Can you give us a few more concrete examples of how to achieve that fewer, more impactful approach when selecting key pieces?
Certainly. Consider a low-profile sectional in a luxurious fabric like a soft mohair or brushed velvet as the primary anchor of your seating area. Or maybe an asymmetrical chaise lounge in a subtle yet sophisticated color like blush, muted gold, or olive green that adds an unexpected touch of elegance and visual interest. Even a coffee table crafted from natural materials like travertine or reclaimed wood with a unique organic shape can become a real focal point, showcasing natural beauty without feeling cluttered or overly decorative.
And when it comes to seating beyond the main sofa, it's not just about finding something that looks good, is it? Comfort seems like it would be paramount in a luxurious space like this.
Absolutely paramount. Picture a pair of elegantly curved accent chairs with a soft buccal upholstery placed near open shelving, displaying a curated collection of books and decorative objects. It invites you to sit and relax.
Yeah.
Or consider the functional elegance of side tables, perhaps one with a sleek brass and marble top, the other with smoked glass and a warm oak base. It's about finding that perfect intersection where stunning design meets genuine comfort and usability.
We've talked about moving beyond stark white in the color palette, but how can we really warm up those palettes in a way that still feels sophisticated and aligned with luxury minimalism?
It's about embracing those richer, earthier, and more nuanced hues. Think deep indigo, rich caramel, or that muted sapphire we discussed earlier. For the walls, consider soft clay or warm greige tones, which offer more depth and warmth than a pure white.
Okay.
Or you could add a feature wall with textured plaster or micro cement in a warm neutral tone to add visual interest and tactile appeal. And when it comes to artwork, lean towards pieces with earthy tones like ochre, warm taupe, or deep forest green, framed simply to keep the focus on the art itself and enhance that feeling of sophisticated warmth.
And texture really seems to be the unsung hero here, doesn't it? The secret weapon for adding warmth and visual interest without adding a lot of visual clutter.
It truly is.
Yeah.
Imagine sinking into a suede upholstered armchair, placing your drink on a smooth walnut coffee table, feeling the natural texture of a jute rug underfoot, and watching the light filter through soft linen curtains. Then add those subtle tactile details, a raw-edge wood sculpture, a hand-thrown ceramic vase, and a few strategically placed silk throw pillows. It's this intentional layering of different textures that elevates the space and makes it feel both inviting and undeniably luxurious.
We've discussed layering light from different sources, but can you give us a more concrete idea of the different types of lighting we should specifically consider incorporating?
Right. Think of it in three main categories. Ambient lighting, which provides the overall soft glow in the room, often achieved through recessed ceiling lights, or indirect lighting.
Okay.
Then you have statement lighting, that eye-catching sculptural pendant in brass or glass that serves as a focal point and adds visual interest.
Right, the wow factor.
Exactly. And finally, accent lighting, wall sconces, floor lamps, and even strategically placed spotlights that add warmth and highlight specific architectural features, artwork, or reading nooks. The key is to choose fixtures with warm, dimmable options for all these layers, allowing you to easily adjust the ambiance to suit different times of day and activities.
And for storage, how do we make it both highly functional and seamlessly stylish within this minimalist context?
Look for custom-built cabinetry that integrates seamlessly into the architecture of the room, maybe with push-to-open doors for a clean, handleless look. Sleek, fluted sideboards in warm wood tones like light oak or walnut offer both ample storage and a subtle visual texture. And open shelving, when curated thoughtfully with a limited number of carefully chosen items, can become a beautiful display area that adds personality without feeling cluttered. The key is to prioritize hidden storage for everyday items and reserve open shelving for your most cherished pieces.
So when it all comes down to it, what are those key elements of intentional decor that really define luxury modern minimalism?
It's about choosing fewer but much more impactful pieces. Think that oversized ceramic vase with dried eucalyptus branches creating a dramatic silhouette, a beautifully crafted bronze tray holding a few simple candles to add a touch of warmth, or a large-scale piece of abstract art that truly resonates with you and becomes a focal point in the room. And don't forget to incorporate personal and meaningful objects, perhaps travel souvenirs that evoke happy memories, carefully chosen coffee table books that reflect your interests, or artisanal pottery with unique testers items that tell your story without creating visual noise.
And bringing the outdoors in feels like a really important aspect. We know plants are key, but how do we make that feel organic and truly integrated into the design?
Opt for those larger, more sculptural plant varieties that have a real presence in the room. A tall olive tree, a beautifully textured stone planter, or a statement-making fiddle leaf fig in a sleek ceramic pot.
Right.
Instead of scattering lots of small plants around, focus on one or two that have a significant visual impact and contribute to the overall feeling of tranquility. And consider low-maintenance options like preserved moss arrangements in minimalist vessels or tall, feathery dried pampas grass in a simple vase for a similar natural feel without the constant need for care.
Now let's delve a bit deeper into how we actually arrange the furniture within the living room to create that harmonious and inviting flow.
Right. Aim for fluid, conversational layouts that encourage interaction and allow for easy movement throughout the space. Instead of pushing all your seating against the walls, consider floating your sofa in the center of the room to define the main seating area.
Okay.
Perhaps paired with a couple of asymmetrical armchairs and a low circular coffee table to soften the lines. It's absolutely crucial to leave ample negative space around each piece of furniture so that it can truly breathe and be appreciated for its individual form. And don't be afraid to experiment with contrasting materials for side tables. Placed next to upholstered seating, a sleek marble top next to a soft buccal armchair can add a subtle layer of visual interest and functionality.
And for those single-story homes where the living room often opens directly to outdoor spaces, how do we create that really seamless connection?
Large sliding glass doors are ideal for creating that effortless transition between the interior living space and outdoor areas like gardens or patios. To enhance this connection, consider using a cohesive color palette that flows from indoors to out.
Oh,
And
smart.
choose outdoor furniture styles and materials that complement your indoor aesthetic. Think woven rattan seating with plush ivory cushions, or perhaps a simple travertine-topped outdoor table that echoes the materials used inside. This visual continuity helps to blur the boundaries and makes both spaces feel like an extension of the other.
This is something I hadn't really given much thought to before, the importance of acoustics in a minimalist space, especially with potentially many hard surfaces.
It's a crucial consideration. You're right, all those hard surfaces like wood or concrete floors and large windows can unfortunately lead to echoes and a feeling of coldness if not addressed.
Right.
Incorporating soft materials like a large, thick area rug, upholstered furniture, fabric window treatments, and even strategically placed fabric panels on the walls can significantly absorb sound and create a much more comfortable and inviting acoustic environment.
And even within the seemingly strict parameters of minimalism, there's still definitely room to inject your own personal style and personality, right? It's not meant to be impersonal.
Absolutely not. While the overall aesthetic emphasizes restraint, it's about personalizing with intention. Perhaps an unexpected accent chair in a bold color like burnt orange adds a pop of personality.
Yeah.
Or an asymmetrical shelving unit becomes a unique focal point. You could incorporate an artistic pendant light that reflects your individual taste, or display a few carefully chosen heirlooms, vintage finds, or handcrafted decor items that hold personal meaning and tell your story.
It really sounds like it's about finding that harmonious balance between clean, modern lines and those softer, more organic textures and forms.
Exactly. It's that thoughtful interplay between the clean lines and uncluttered spaces of modern design and the warmth and natural feel of organic elements that creates a truly open, stylish, and yet inviting atmosphere. Focusing on furniture with a natural flow and incorporating subtle but effective lighting enhances this balance beautifully.
So we're definitely moving beyond that stark, almost clinical version of minimalism to something much more welcoming and sophisticated through refined color choices.
Yes, those softer, more sophisticated hues beyond stark white, think muted beige, gentle sage green, or a deep, calming blue create a much more livable and inviting space. And instead of relying on harsh black for contrast, consider incorporating deeper shades like rich indigo, warm caramel, or earthy terracotta for a more nuanced and warmer overall feel.
And the furniture itself needs to be not only visually appealing, but also incredibly comfortable and inviting. Feels like a key part of luxury.
Absolutely. Think plush, oversized sectionals upholstered in luxurious fabrics like a textured buccal or a rich velvet. Sculptural coffee tables crafted from beautiful materials like travertine or organic wood, and lounge chairs in tactile materials like mid-century inspired leather or soft suede that practically beg you to sit down and relax.
Texture layering seems to be an absolutely non-negotiable element for adding depth, warmth, and that sense of luxuriousness.
It truly is essential. Imagine layering a soft wool rug over a sleek, hard floor, hanging elegant linen drapes that gently filter the light, and draping a chunky knit throw casually over the arm of the sofa. It's about carefully balancing those sleek, smooth surfaces with raw organic textures and the subtle interplay between glossy and matte, woven and lacquered finishes to create a rich and inviting tactile experience.
And lighting needs to be both highly functional for everyday living and capable of creating a specific mood and ambiance. It's doing double duty.
Exactly. Aim for a well-considered combination of statement pendant lights in materials like brushed brass or frosted glass that act as focal points, with recessed lighting providing overall illumination, and strategically placed floor and wall sconces that add layers of warm light and highlight specific areas or architectural details. And the necessity of dimmable options for all these light sources cannot be overstated. It gives you complete control over the ambiance of the room.
And when it comes to art and decor, it's clearly about making a significant impact with a carefully curated selection of items, rather than overwhelming the space with too many things. Less is truly more, but the less has to be impactful.
Focus on those impactful, intentionally chosen pieces. A large-scale abstract artwork can become a captivating focal point. Sculptural ceramic pieces paired with carefully selected greenery add a natural and artistic touch. And a beautifully crafted wooden tray holding a few simple candles or treasured objects can bring warmth and subtle elegance to a coffee table or console.
If you found this video helpful or inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Interior Blockchain Studio for more expert design ideas, trends, and creative inspiration. Your support helps us bring you even more amazing content, so make sure to turn on notifications and stay updated with our latest uploads. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.